All right, guys. Talking about even and odd functions. On Friday of last week, we talked about the graphs. The graphs, when we're talking about even and odd functions, focus on the symmetry. What does the graph have symmetry to if it is an even function? What does the graph have symmetry to if it's an even function? The y-axis. So which means if it's hitting like this, I should be able to fold it together onto the y-axis and it should mirror it. Absolutely. If it's an odd function, what does it have symmetry to? The origin, meaning I should be able to do what?
180.
180 rotation, flip it upside down, and it should give you the exact same picture back. Any questions there? Those rules still apply here, but now we're not looking at it visually. We're looking at it with equations, so it's more abstract. So in Lesson 3.8, we learned about two special types of symmetry, even and odd. We learned how to tell the difference from the graph. We can also use the equation to see if the function is even or odd. How we look at the exponents. That's the biggest difference. Even functions have only even exponents and can include any constant. Constants are numbers without what? Variables. So which means like 1, 25, negative 13, those are all constants because they do not have a variable attached to them. If we're looking at odd functions only have odd exponents. They cannot include constants. Give me an example of even numbers.
2, 4, 6, 8.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because they're all divisible by 2. Give me examples of odd numbers.
1, 3, 5, 7.
Perfect. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It's the other two differences in between numbers. So those do not have a common divisible number except by 1. Does that make sense? Any questions there? So if we're looking at our examples, we have a of x equals x cubed minus x. What are my exponents on my x's? 3 and that's a coefficient, not a variable. Well, not an exponent. If you can't see it, it's automatically 1. So put your 1 there, and that's what we're focusing on. If you don't have a highlighter, you need to circle those numbers. If you don't have a highlighter, you need to circle those numbers because that's what you're focusing on. Is 3 even or odd? Is 1 even or odd? So both of my exponents are? Do I have any constants here? No. So this function must be odd. Any questions there? What did I just say? Didn't I say it was going to be quick and easy? Look, I told you, sometimes being able to see it is great, but sometimes being able to abstractly understand it is even better because then you don't have to do all the extra drawing, all the extra work. What's my exponent on this one? B of x equals x to the 6 minus 2x cubed plus 3x minus 1. So what's my first exponent I see? Then 1. If you don't see it, write it in. Those without highlighters, circle your exponents. So how would you describe 6? It is 3, 1, and then do I have a constant? My constant is that negative 1 right there. So if it's even, it must have only what? So do I see only even exponents? If it's odd, it must have only. So do I see only odd exponents? So if it's not all even and it's not all odd, it must be neither. Make sense? Looking at C if there are no questions. C of x equals x to the 6 minus 2x cubed plus 3. What are my exponents I'm looking at? Do I have a constant? What is it? Perfect. Is this even, odd, or neither? Neither. Why?
Because 6 are even and an odd.
You have an even and an odd. plus a constant. So if that cube wasn't there, it could have been even. If that 6 and that 3 wasn't there, it could have been odd. But since all of them are present, it's neither. Great job. Any questions there? Everybody still with me? Everybody good? Looking at D, I have D of x equals x cubed minus 7. What do I need to focus on? The exponent of, and then what's also there? A constant of negative 7. Can odd exponents also have constants? No. So is this even, odd, or neither? Neither. I'm also teaching you how to do what? Read. It says cannot include a constant. Any questions there? Everybody good? Looking at E. E of x equals 4x to the 5th minus 2x cubed plus 3x. What are my exponents? Is that all?
3
And a 1. How do you describe all of these numbers, exponents? What was it? So what is this function? Great job. Any questions there? F. F of x equals x to the 6 minus 3. You tell me. How do we know? And even functions can have constants, can they not? So this function is? It's okay. It's going to go away. It's from my printer. It's fine. It just takes a second. Any questions on these top 6 questions here? Everybody good? Warning, this only works on some equations. The reason why it might not work on some equations is because there are grouping symbols, whether it be a parentheses, a square root, an absolute value, or a rational bar, meaning a big fraction bar. Okay? So, let me see if I can get this minimized out of the way. There we go. So looking at letter A, this is where we cannot use exponents. So we look at the graph and we try to focus there. Since this is an absolute value graph, we know it makes a what kind of shape? A V shape, right? This V shape, does it have symmetry? Are you sure? Yes, because it also has a what? Where is it where those two lines meet? What's that called? A. Starts with a V as well. A vertex. Thank you. If it has a vertex, it has symmetry. But we're looking for linear symmetry to the what? Y-axis, or point symmetry to the what? To the origin. Looking at this line of symmetry, is it on the y-axis? No. So can this be even? No. If I were to take this and flip it, did it give me the exact same image? Yes or no? No. So it must be, if it doesn't flip to give you the same image, can it be odd? No. So it must be neither. You just told me it doesn't have any kind of symmetry to the y-axis because is it on the y-axis? No. So it can't be flipped across the y-axis to mirror anything because there's nothing over there. And then if you don't rotate it 180 degrees from the origin, it cannot work that way. Any questions? Everybody good? Looking at B, this is a square root function based on this, but if you notice, it's kind of shaped weird. It kind of looks like a quadratic. So I'm going to do the same thing that I was doing on Friday. I'm going to highlight that one piece of it, and what am I going to do then? How do I flip it? What do I need to do? Your hand, and you put it on that side, and then I do what? Flip my hand over, and then slide it out the way. Is there anything that mirrors this shape over in this quadrant? So is this even? No. From there, what do I then do? Turn the paper around all the way 180. Do I see this shape in that quadrant? Because it would have to be the exact same image. Is this the exact same image? No. So is it odd? No. So what must this be? Neither as well. Any questions there? Okay, looking at this one, this is actually a square, a quadratic function. The highest exponent is going to be a square. So it's creating a U shape, a parabola. Does this U shape have a vertex? Yes. And that vertex tells me where my symmetry is, correct? So it would be right here. Does that have symmetry to the y-axis? No. If I flip this paper upside down, will it have symmetry to the origin? No. So it must make this function what? What was it? Neither. Any questions there? She's going to get progressively louder, and it's only because, again, 25 days till state test. 25 days till state test. She is trying to make sure they know what they are doing. So, 25 days. So looking at this one, any questions before we move on to D? Everybody good? Look at D. I have f of x equals x over x cubed minus 7. Looking at this, this is a rational function that creates an asymptote at x equals 2, which is this right here. So even though it looks like it's getting close to that line, it's not. It'll never touch that line that I just made. And there's an asymptote also at that point right there that I can't really tell right now because it's a decimal. But it'll never touch that point either. So this is a rational function with an asymptote at 2 on the x and an unknown decimal on the y values. So looking at this, that means this would have point symmetry right here. If it's not at the origin, it does not have the symmetry we're looking for to be even or odd. Does that make sense? We already know that this piece does not flip over the y-axis. We know that already, because is there anything over there to mirror this piece? No. So we can't use that. The origin is here. If it was right there, that would have perfect symmetry. But since they moved it to the right, it's not going to work. Make sense? So if it's not even and it's not odd, it must be neither. Jordan, focus up here, baby. I know it's easy to get derailed, but you've done great. Push through. Any questions there? Now, it says E, f of x equals x cubed over x to the 5th minus x. Those are odd exponents in the equation, but it's an even graph. The reason why I know that is, looking at this piece here, if I were to take my hand, take your hand and do it with me. I'm looking at this bottom one. Take your hand, do it with me. Take your hand, do it with me. Other hand, baby. Other hand. It ain't going to work as well. There you go. Because you're flipping to the left. So if you try to flip it with your other hand, it's not going to feel comfortable. We flip it, and we move our hand. Is this mirrored onto this side? Yes. It's the exact image mirrored. But then we also have a second piece to consider. Do the same thing. Bring your hand back. Look at that bottom piece. Flip again. Slide your hand. Do I see a mirrored image at the bottom to reflect that one? Yes. So it has symmetry to what? The y-axis, which makes it even. Basically, never trust the equations when it has grouping symbols. So when in doubt, graph it in the calculator. I'm going to show you how to type in each one of these. So have your calculator ready to go. Go on and clear it out. Second plus 712. So second plus 712. If you didn't hear all that, it's right here, up here. I've had it up here since maybe the first week of school. It should say RAM cleared if you did it correctly. Alright, you don't need a pencil or anything in your hand. All you're doing is typing this in, okay? So, we're typing in this first function, 2 absolute value of x minus 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to click y equals up here. You see where it says stat plot? That's y equals. On your calculator, it might not be there anymore because that is a well-loved button, okay? It's gone. If you look at mine, it's gone. This was before I even got this calculator. Miss Lipsey didn't rub that off. That was well-loved prior to me, okay? So, y equals. That's going to be your friend to graph, okay? Type in 2. To get your absolute value, you're going to click the math button, which is right underneath the green button that says alpha. You know where the math button is. And you're going to hit the right arrow to go to number. That's NUM. And you're going to hit number 1. That's absolute value. Everybody with me? That means pull your arms out of your sweater, put your feet flat on the ground, and pay attention to what I'm doing. Jordan, you too. Number, right arrow. Well, right arrow, number, hit 1. That's all you have to do. Hit the number 1. Any questions? Everybody here. From there, you need to type in X. X is this button right underneath mode. You see where my finger at? It's this button right here. You see how an X just popped up? Then hit minus, not negative, minus, that's the gray button. And then 3. To get out of grouping symbols, you have to hit the right arrow. Y'all have heard me say that multiple times. To get out of grouping symbols, hit the right arrow. Does everybody's calculator look like this? If it doesn't, how are you not at this point? Because you were not listening and following to what I was saying. How much slower does somebody need to go before you realize it's you? Should this take me 15 years to get through this? Because am I sitting here doing it with you? Am I telling you the exact buttons to press in the right sequence? So is it me or is it you? Jordan, what do you not have?
I kind of started.
Then you need to click y equals. Stop wasting my time. Be quick. 2. Math. Right arrow. 1. X is underneath mode. Minus 3. Right arrow. Please stay with the class. Does yours look like this?
Yes.
From there, you're going to click graph, which is the leftmost gray button. Would you look at there? Don't it look just like what's on the paper? Any questions? Hit graph, which is the leftmost gray button at the top of the calculator. You see where it says table? That's the graph button. And then that's it. Because everybody see what I see on mine? Okay. Moving on. Go back to y equals. There's nothing elaborate or cute about this. Click clear, and it clears out the entire line. Everybody look like this? We're going to put b in. So you know how to put in the square root. X, same button we just hit. How do I get a square root? Second x squared. And then hit that x button again. Plus 5. Right arrow to get out of that grouping symbol. Y'all been typing in square roots this whole time? All the thing that I added was the x. That's the only thing I added. Is everybody here? Everybody here? Click graph. Would you look at that? They actually gave you a bigger picture of what this cut off. So you actually see it is a true square root function. Everybody with me? Any questions? And don't worry, this is recorded, so you can go back and rewatch it as much as you want. Moving on. Go back to y equals. Clear yet again. We know how to type this in. Parentheses. X, underneath mode, plus 3, close parentheses, squared. Practice makes perfect. Don't get discouraged if you're not remembering every step right now, but do feel a little bit icky if you don't get to your test and you have not practiced this. Practice, practice. Ask a lot of questions. Does everybody's calculator look like this? Everybody here? Anybody not here? Everybody with me? Click graph. Would you look at that? Don't it look just like that? Okay. So, go back to y equals. Clear again. Now, I'm going to show you how to do the big fraction bar. The reason why is because when we get into deeper maths, you're going to learn how to do this one to do more effective typing in the calculator, okay? But if you've been typing fractions the way I've been typing in fractions, I'm going to show you that way as well. It should give you the exact same graph. Any questions? So I'm going to go the old school way first. Parentheses. X. Close your parentheses. Divided by parentheses x. To get the cube, you have to hit the caret key, which is underneath clear, and it gets you up there 3 because it's to the third power. To get out of that exponent, you have to hit the right arrow. You see how it brought it back down and made it big again? That's what you're looking for. Minus 7. Close those parentheses. Is everybody here? Anybody get lost on the way? Anybody need assistance before we click on? Everybody good? I need verbal confirmation, children. Thank you. Graph. It looks just like that. But if you notice, it's harder to read on this graph. And the reasoning why is because it's so small, that asymptote, that you would miss it. Does that make sense? So it's right there. It's easy to see. There's the first piece, there's the second piece. But notice how it basically almost disappears into the actual thing. When we get more deep into functions in Algebra 1, you will learn how to see a table to understand where those are coming from. But for right now, you just need to see the graph. Any questions here? Okay, so go back to y equals. I'm going to show you how to do the big fraction. Clear. Now pay close attention. You're going to click alpha, which is the green button. Y equals the button that we've been pressing. And you're going to click 1. Does everyone's calculator have this on there? So from there, type in x. You don't need any parentheses. When you have x typed in, hit the bottom arrow. On your keypad here, hit the bottom arrow. You see how it took me to the bottom part? Type in x cubed, just the same way we did, minus 7. Now that looks exactly like the paper. Both ways work. The first way, you have to put parentheses around your individual pieces. For this one, there's no parentheses necessary. Is everybody right here? Everybody with me? Hit graph again. You see how it gave you the exact same graph. So are both ways good ways? Am I going to tell you which way is the best way? No. Because whatever way helps you remember the best is the way that you need to use. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Any questions at all? We need to add this little note right here at the bottom where it says calculator. We need to put a little arrow and we need to put the y equals button. That way you remember that that's the button that you press to graph. So let's reset our calculators one more time. So second plus 712. You don't have to do anything extra. Just second plus 712. Should say RAM cleared. Always reset your calculator, especially on Friday. Reset your calculator when you come in. That way you know you're working on a clean slate before your test. Any questions? Because your classmates are working on the same thing, but your other classmates are working on polynomials, they're going to be doing some crazy stuff in the calculator. And they're the last ones that hold it during the day. And I guarantee you, they are not resetting it. So reset when you come in. We will not have calculators tomorrow, not these typical ones. I forgot to give y'all that heads up. We're doing the senior ACT. I will have the other ones up there that work just the same. They just don't have the graphing function, so which means we're going to be doing things a little bit differently tomorrow. Same math, different calculators. All right, any questions? And for those who do not know, you can actually turn these calculators off so they don't run out the battery. If you didn't know that, you hit second and then the on button. You see how it says off in blue? Please start doing that so we don't run out of battery in our calculators. Please and thank you. It's on video, so you know I asked. Any questions? Flip it on over. I have some practice problems I want you to do for me for a daily grade, if you do not mind. I want you to do 1, and I want you to do 2, and then 3, 4, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. If you do not mind, get those done for me. I'll put a timer on. I'll give you about 10 minutes. Okay. And don't worry, I'll give y'all stickers today. Because I see that a lot of people missed the stickers last week. I apologize for lacking. I think there was only maybe 1 or 2 people that had a hiccup here, in the sense of, I feel like it was things that people changed at the last minute, or people second guess themselves on what they should have been looking at and what they should have been doing. So let's get into that. Hopefully this will unfreeze, that way I can actually see the screen. I think I just froze it again. There we go. Perfect. We're on the back. Looking at number 1, what's the first thing I need to make note of? Exponents. What are the exponents? 1. What kind of number is 1? Odd, right? So, what else do we know is here? A constant of 5. Can odd number functions have constants? It's neither automatically. I think more people who put even on this one were focused on the 4 rather than the exponent. 4 is even, but that is a coefficient. It is not an exponent. Any questions? 2, what am I focusing on? The exponent of 2. How do we describe 2? It is even. What else do I need to make note of? Can even number functions have constants? So this is great job. Now, a lot of people didn't miss that one. Okay. Number 3. F of x equals x cubed minus x. What am I focusing on? Which are? 3 and 1. Are there any constants in sight? All of my exponents are odd, which makes this function odd. Any questions there? Looking at number 4, we should have typed this one in the calculator, right? So let's do that. I'm going to type mine in the old-fashioned way with parentheses. That way I'm not confusing you too much with too many methods. That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to put parentheses 2 divided by parentheses x squared minus 5. Close parentheses. I know which people typed this in because they were right on the money with the graph. Everybody have this? Hit graph. Let's look at this graph. It looks just like the one we did. So what kind of symmetry does this have? Even symmetry to the what? The y-axis. Because if I took this side, flipped it, and moved my hand, do I see the exact image mirrored on the other side? Yes. So this must be even. Remember, practice makes perfect on the calculator, okay? I know. That's what I'm trying to say. If y'all went with your gut, you would have got it. That's the thing. That's why I tell you, go with your gut. Because most of the time, you're correct. Not even most of the time. 99% of the time, you're right. But then when you second guess yourself, you get it wrong. So looking at number 9, we should type this one in, right? Let's do that. Go back to y equals, clear that out, parentheses, x minus 4, close parentheses, squared. What you type in should be exactly what's on the paper. There is no loose interpretation. Don't assume. Type in what is supposed to be typed in, okay? So looking at this, Does everybody have this typed in?
Yes.
Graph. Looking at this, is there anything to reflect onto this side? So it can't be even. If I turn my calculator upside down, did it give me the exact same image?
No.
So is this even, odd, or neither? Neither. Any questions there? The rest are yours to get through. Remember, don't assume to go straight here. If it's not a grouping symbol, look at the exponents and constants, okay? This wastes most people's time. Don't let it waste yours. You have time, work on this, ask questions if you need them. Go on now. Working. Don't assume nothing. Working on these. Come on, you have time. Remember what I talked about last week. Any time not used in class is time wasted because you have to do it at the house by yourself. Me and Ms. Davis move on each day because we know there's an agenda. Don't jump back there to her. Work on it on your own first. Don't jump up here to me first. You got examples. Sir? You can ask me about some of them, but you need to be working on the other ones. Circle the ones you don't know, come back to them. Don't immediately say, I don't know this one, and turn into a damsel. Because that's what happens on tests. Y'all immediately go, this one problem is kind of challenging. Not hard, kind of challenging, and you sit on it. Don't do that. Move on. There's examples for everything on here. Y'all know that. We want to help you, but you got to help yourself first. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.